Today is January 31st, meaning it's time to announce the best cars I've reviewed this year. I've reviewed over 130 cars this year, some of which blew my mind, but many others left me disappointed. So today I'm doing something much like Doug DeMuro does, and I'm going to pick the cars that perform the best. To make it fair, I've separated all 131 cars into their own classes. The classes that I didn't review enough of aren't included. Anyways, let's get started. First up is the compact car. This class includes cars like the Honda Civic, Hyundai Elantra, Volkswagen Jetta, and the PT Cruiser. However, the best one I tested this year was the 2008 VW Beetle SE convertible, which is known as the Wolfsburg New Classic in-game. It's extremely fun to drive, handles well, has a really nice interior, and it's iconic looking in my opinion. It's oddly fun to toss around corners and has a very low price tag of only $13,000. Next up is the compact executive car. This class includes cars like the Model 3, 330i, B60, and A4 Allroad. However, the best one I rated this year was the 2008 Infiniti G35 Sport, otherwise known as the 2008 El Grand Horizon in-game. This car surprisingly doesn't require a game pass. It's quick, fun to drive, has a nice engine sound, handles well, and is a bit of a sleeper. It looks very subtle, but it has the potential to gap some serious cars. And the best part of it? You can pick one of these up for only $12,000. Next up is the compact performance crossover, which includes cars like the RAV4 RX-67, Macan, SQ5, and the F-Pace. Overall, the best one in this class is the 2023 Fisker Ocean Extreme 1, which is known as the Deja Vu Comet in-game. It has plaid-like acceleration, quirky and futuristic styling, a solar panel on its roof, insane range, perfect handling, and it's a lot cheaper than the Model X Plaid and just a bit more than the Model Y Performance. Since it's electric, it does require the electric pass, but it costs a reasonable $69,000. Next up is the executive car, which includes cars like the Plaid Plus, Taycan, RS6 Avant, and the S80 V8. There are a lot of great cars in this class, but the best one I've tested was the 2023 Lucid Air Dream Edition Performance, which is known as the Simple Atmos in-game. The Air is pretty quick, has great handling, looks extremely cool, and is extremely fun to drive. And yes, this does require the electric game pass, and it is likely inaccessible to most due to its $169,000 price tag. However, I think it's worth every penny. If you want to save a bit of money and still have decent performance, get the Grand Touring. Next up is the full-size luxury SUV, which includes cars like the Grand Wagoneer, Cullinan, QX80, and Kim Kardashian's Escalade. While I wish I got to drive more cars in this class this year, the best one I reviewed was the 2022 Range Rover P525 LWB, which is known as the Terrain Traveler in-game. I chose a very abhorrent color for the one I reviewed, but the Range Rover looks very stately, has enough room for your friends or family, is somewhat fast, and its price isn't too terrible. It has gotten retuned a couple times since I've reviewed it, but it's still a good RP SUV. You can pick one of these up for just under $120,000. Next up is the full-size pickup truck, which includes trucks like the Cybertruck, Raptor R, Tundra, and Gladiator 6x6. However, the best one I tested this year was the 2022 Hummer EV Pickup Edition 1, which is known as the Rever EV in-game. While it could use the inclusion of more trims in the SUV version, the current one is a really good truck. It has a cool synthwave-sounding idle, it's extremely fast, has four-wheel steering, and is really fun to drive. Its FRIZZ score does tie the Cybertruck, but this is a much better value. It really stands out from most cars in Greenville and is a bargain at only costing a little under $113,000. Next up is the Grand Tourer, which includes cars like the Koenigsegg Gemera, Rolls-Royce Dawn, Aston Martin DB11, and the SLS Electric Drive. While someone in my comment section has been continuously telling me that the DB11 AMR is the best Grand Tourer, the best one I've tested was the 2023 Maybach SL, which is known as the Stuttgart Wilhelm Münster in-game. The SL combines very beautiful styling, one of the best interiors GV has made yet, quick acceleration, amazing handling, and insane attention to detail. It has everything the DB11 doesn't. While $500K is really insane for the rose gold trim, I recommend the base silver trim. Changes are merely cosmetic, so it's more worth it. Next up is the midsize car, which includes cars like the Mazda 6, Ford Fusion, Nissan Altima, and the Mitsubishi Galant. I didn't test many of these this year, but the best one I tested was the 2020 Honda Accord Touring, which is known as the Elysian Alliance in-game. I understand a remodel of this is coming soon, but it's still the best. It's great for RP servers, has perfect AEB, drives well, and is really worth the money. Its FRIZZ score does tie the Mazda 6, but the Accord seems more up to date, which is odd since the Accord is the one that's getting a remodel. You can pick one of these up for a little under 40k. Next up is the mid-size performance crossover, which includes cars like the DBX, Trackhawk, Levante, and the iX. There is a tie between the best one, but the better value is the 2021 Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat, which is known as the Bullhorn Pueblo SFP in-game. Its FRIZZ score ties the Aston Martin DBX, but the DBX is a bit overpriced. The Durango is one of the fastest cars I've ever tested. It has decent looks, a cool supercharger one, and you can pick one of these up for a little over 80k. There's a reason why it's so popular among the Greenville community. Next up is the Sport Compact, which includes cars like the Swag Wagon, V60 Polestar, ISF, and the Beetle RSI. While all of those are great cars, the best one that I tested was the 2022 Audi RSD hatchback, otherwise known as the Aventismo Ingolstadt RS Sportback in-game. It's good looking, has a very unique engine sound, is extremely quick, and it's fun to drive. It's a bit redundant to call it a sleeper since a lot of people know RS versions of Audis are insane, but this is a lot quicker than you'd expect it to be. Like, this could literally win a drag race against the 911 GT3 Touring, Taycan, Ferrari FF, and a bunch of other expensive performance cars. Yet, this doesn't even come close to their hefty price tags, as this only costs a bit over 60k, and yes, it requires the Sports Game Pass. Next up is the sports car, which is the class I reviewed the most of this year, but this class includes cars like the CGT, Veyron, NSX, and the Roadster. While there are a lot of great cars in this class, the best one that I tested this year was the 2005 Ford GTX-1, which is known as the Falcon Heritage Roadster in-game. Its driving characteristics are very similar to the Carrera GT, but the GT is 200k cheaper, has an interior, and it doesn't have the CGT's annoying gearing issue. While the GTX-1 isn't as quick as the CGT, it's still extremely quick, one of the most fun to drive cars in-game, looks great, sounds amazing, and not that many people have it to begin with. It's for sure one of the best cars in-game, and you can pick one of these up if you have a sports pass for 600k. Now that we've got those out of the way, what was the absolute best and worst car I reviewed this year? Now, starting off with the best, the FRIZZ Award for Best Car of the Year goes to the GTX-1. It received the highest FRIZZ score of any car I've ever tested, but as I just said when talking about the best sports car, it's extremely fun to drive, sounds good, looks really cool, and it's worth every penny of its giant price tag. The FRIZZ Award for the worst car of the year goes to the absolutely abhorrent 2014 Tesla Model Y. It got the lowest FRIZZ score of any car I've ever tested. It's possibly the ugliest car in Greenville, it's not the quickest thing in the world, it has tepid handling, and it's not fun to drive at all. Even as a troll car, it's a pretty poor choice, which is why it deserves this award. That's all for this video. You can use this video as a car buying guide if you'd like, as it should work very well for that. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video and I hope you have a great New Year's. Later guys.